Raz Al Ghoul. He is a character that I used to think was super fucking boring, and like I thought he sucked. Then I read some comic books with him, not with him, but of him, and I actually I actually like him now. To be honest, and I think that what Raz reflects is that he's like if Batman wasn't focused on Gotham but the whole world and didn't have his code of not killing people. Because Raz has a good, you know, objective. He wants to save the Earth, but he does it through means like, oh, genocide and killing civilians. So, yeah. I also think they have an interesting dynamic because Raz likes Batman and he wants them to agree, and work together because Raz is like, damn, this guy's smart as hell, you know? Also, every showdown that they're in feels just so intense to me. It's not like the Joker where, like, the Joker's in, he shows up in every comic book and he just does whatever the fuck. He does have good iconic moments, but Raz is used sparingly, and when he is used, it's super awesome. Like, they'll be like fighting with swords and like they're in a cave and everything around them is like exploding. It's like, oh my god, dude. It's an interesting clash for Batman because he has to, fight his morals. He has to fight Raz's morals as well. And another great aspect of Raz is that he does have a sort of code that he lives by, and he doesn't reveal Batman's secret identity. He doesn't use it against him. Like, if let's say this, right? He wants to save the Earth, and he's like, "Hey, Batman, I'll tell everybody that you're Bruce Wayne if you don't work with me." He doesn't do that. He is like he wants them to authentically agree, and I think that is good. I think that's interesting. Not to mention, sometimes they're just straight up allies, and that's fucking sick. That's sick. Another great aspect of Raz is how he connects to Batman in the form of Damian and Talia al Ghul. Like, Damian wouldn't be a thing without Raz Al Ghul and Talia, And I think that kind of just gives him credit. Like, yeah, he invented one of the Robins, and yeah, I think he's pretty cool. The Scarecrow. The Scarecrow is, in my opinion, one of Batman's most either underused or like worst used. They have him just fucking spam fucking fear gas and then rob banks and shit. And that's like such, I don't know, that's so disappointing because he has like so much potential, especially because he reflects the way that Batman uses fear, right? Batman uses fear on criminals and poor people, which is good. But Scarecrow uses it on innocent people, which is bad. And he also just takes it too far, where, Batman, spooks them. Like, Scarecrow will just fucking destroy them with his tear gas. And one comic that I think portrays Scarecrow like perfectly in my mind is called Kings of Fear, and this might be the best Scarecrow book like ever. Go read it right now because it's really awesome. The idea of it is that Scarecrow forces a therapy session onto Batman. He like holds some people hostage and is like, answer truthfully, otherwise I blow up a bunch of civilians. And it's funny. It's fucking funny, right? And it provides some really difficult questions for Batman, What if Batman used his money to rebuild Gotham instead of being Batman? Is he responsible for creating his villains? And would Gotham be better without him? And it it goes over these topics, and it's amazing because you know that Scarecrow is trying to, one, understand Batman so that he's not as afraid of him, two, make him quit, crime fighting. And it's perfect because it plays on these ideas that are so central and difficult for Batman to answer. Scarecrow literally shows him Gotham if he wasn't around. And of course, he's using his fear gas and stuff. And it's a beautiful city, and it looks amazing. And I think that is just such a... It's a beautiful way to fuck with Batman, Like, at this point, he's been crime fighting for ages. And then he gets the thing being like, hey, is this really what you want to be doing? Like, what if everybody was better off without you? And that is just like fucking awesome. He definitely is the most poorly used villain. Like, he just sucks ass, especially in the animated series. He is just such a loser. He just shows up and is like, I'm gonna rob a bank, and it's like, okay, cool. Just, I don't know. For all that show did right, they really fucking cucked Scarecrow. So, yeah, that's why I really like Scarecrow. Harvey Dent and Two-Face. Two-Face and Harvey Dent are an amazing villain. Originally, he was a lawyer who worked with Batman and Jim Gordon in the comics. And in the animated series, he was Bruce's best friend, basically.
Darling, Bruce is your friend.
Don't be embarrassed. Lots of people see psychiatrists, Harv.
So, that is really great. He scars his face in different ways and different iterations. In the comic called The Long Halloween, he is putting somebody on... He's like questioning somebody in court, and then they splash acid on the side of his face. That fucks him up. And he has a really interesting relationship with Batman where it's like Jim Gordon, where they used to work together, and you see how, he used to be this force with Batman for good, and now he's like switched and he fell, and I think that is really great. He also sometimes does the right thing, which I think is like my favorite villains always do the right thing at some point, and Harvey Dent is absolutely one of my favorites. Also, as I mentioned, his origin story is one of the most iconic Batman stories. It's in The Long Halloween. So the coin is the next thing that I want to talk about with him. There's been a few takes on how he got his coin, but my personal favorite is that Harvey's father was abusive, and he would use the coin to decide if he would beat him, and that's fucked up. But eventually what he found out was that the coin was double-headed, so no matter what happened, he would be getting a beating. And as a result of that, he had a breakdown, but still kept it in his possession. I'm not sure why he did that, but he did. I like to think of his coin as the two sides of him like collaborating, If it's the scarred side, Two-Face can act. If it's the clean side, Harvey can act. It's how they govern over the same body, because they are two personalities living in one body. Now, my favorite iteration of Harvey Dent that I have read so far is in No Man's Land. He has such amazing moments. This is the part where he is a good person, because every now and then he will flip the coin and, it'll land on Harvey's side, and so he'll do what he thinks is the right thing. This is also the moment where we have my favorite moment of all of Two-Face's career. So he kidnaps Jim Gordon in revenge for breaking an alliance that they made, right? He then puts him on trial, and after he's done prosecuting Gordon, Gordon asks excuse me, Gordon asks for Harvey Dent to defend him. So that is amazing. And what follows next is Harvey Dent interviewing Two-Face and defending Gordon. So it's this amazing shot, which you can see on screen right now, where there's all the text in the middle of the interviewing, and there's Harvey on one side, Two-Face on the other. That is just, it's so well done. And at the end of it, Dent decides that since Gordon had been essentially blackmailed into the alliance, the agreement was completely void and didn't count. Another nice part of this is Renee Montoya, who Two-Face and Harvey Dent agree that they both like her. This is in the novelization, but still, it's implied in the comics. They agree on something, you know? And that is like so rare for Two-Face. You never see that. It's always like, it's this or that, you know? And seeing them agree is a really interesting way to show their dynamic, you know? Speaking of dynamics, Renee and Harvey's dynamic is really great. It's sad that they ruined it with what happened post No Man's Land, with fucking Two-Face being like, if we kill everybody, she'll have to date me. Like, that's a massacre of a really interesting relationship, you know? Yeah, that is why I love Harvey Dent.